ahead and get on going. Jojo, today is a beautiful Saturday, by the way. Like
It is.
I don't know what everybody be talking about, but yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, that's nice. That's I've
Yeah,
definitely seen worse and experienced worse. So
we are going to have some hell of a few hot days, by the way, uh,
yeah, this I have heard.
according to the people.
The
Uh,
people, the people that
yeah,
knows.
yeah. I mean, but well, hey, what we're gonna do? We should probably go ahead and get started, right? Because
That's probably a good idea.
it's Saturday and stuff. People be doing their thing, whatever that means. You know what I'm saying? So, should we do the video start or what do you reckon, Jojo?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do the video start, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So we're gonna do the video start, and it goes like this.
This is Kickin' and Streamin' Podcast, a binge watcher's guide to streaming movies, TV series, and stuff. Here are your hosts, Graham and Jocelyn.
Yeah.
I like
Hello,
the videos.
everyone. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Kicking and Streaming Podcast. My name is Graham, and as you heard it before, you heard it before. My name is Graham, and with me today is, of course, the absolutely fantastic, marvelous, magical, and all kinds of awe, Jojo. Jojo, how you been, Jojo?
I've been good, Graham. How about you?
Hey, I'm plugging along. Plugging along, as my very good friend Jojo says, plugging along.
Just plugging along.
That's all. That's all we can do. That's all we're going to do. Um, we've been having fun, at least in the month of May, in what we're watching and all of the content that we anticipated were coming. Because, as you know, we have started, which was the plan from the very beginning. At the end of the month, we would always bring you what we are expecting to watch the month coming. And so there were a lot of the shows that we talked about, that we were excited about, that we anticipated, that we're expecting to make a splash. And some of them have, and some of them haven't.
True.
And
True.
today we are like, I remember how we anticipated watching this one,
Yes.
The Woman in the Window.
Yes.
And we are going to talk about it because it finally came out, and it turns out that, I don't understand what I saw. My hope, Jojo, is that you are going to be able to help me out to figure this one out, because seriously, not that I don't understand it, because it was a fairly predictable movie, wasn't it?
Yes, very much so.
It's just that I don't understand what's the point of writing a book if that's what the book goes about. What's the point of making it into a movie? I'm absolutely baffled that the book itself was a bestseller, and from what I've read, the movie didn't deviate too much from the book. So if the movie is crappy, then the book is crappy. But maybe that's me. Do you know what I mean?
No, nope.
So Jojo, tell me, what did you think about this movie? Let's go ahead. Let's go right on away.
I didn't really enjoy the movie very much. I'm not gonna say I was offended by it or anything like that. I just really was disappointed. I felt like they had a really good cast that they wasted, and it was mediocre at best.
Yeah.
It's just kind of there. I feel like they pulled a lot of I'm not even going to say inspiration. I'm just going to say ideas stolen from Hitchcock and other movies that have made history. So I just am kind of like, if you want to see a good version of this movie, watch Rear Window. That's what I'm going to tell everybody.
Watch who?
Rear Window.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But also, I've read a lot about the author of the book, and how he's like basically conjured an entire series of books, uh, you know, something something the cabin and the girl in the something something. And uh, the dude apparently knows that he's a crappy author and created an entire backstory of cancer and all kind of shit to get himself, to get publishing executives to sort of like look at him. As a matter of fact, there is a movie about him in the works. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be the one to portray him. I mean, there's a whole story behind it, like seriously. But here's what we're going to do, Jojo. We're gonna give you the floor, and if you would, please tell folks what this movie is about, and we'll take it from there and shit all over it.
So this movie is about a woman who suffers from agoraphobia, which has been brought on by an event that happened in her life that is not revealed immediately. She suffers from PTSD, and she has a extreme case of agoraphobia in that she cannot step outside whatsoever. Like, she literally cannot leave her house, and she drinks a lot and she takes a lot of medication sporadically, doesn't take it really like she's supposed to, sporadically, and she kind of has hallucinations and things like that. So maybe not your most reliable storyteller to start with, your narrative giver. And so she kind of spies on her neighbors as a hobby, and she ends up becoming friends with one of them through a series of events. And through another series of events, she witnesses what she believes is that woman's murder. And then subsequently is told she's crazy by anyone who becomes involved, because that woman actually never existed. So it's sort of her trying to find out if she really is crazy, and if she did imagine this woman, or if there was a woman, it's more of a conspiracy and this woman actually did exist and she did witness her murder, coupled with sort of her coming to grips with what happened to her to cause her agoraphobia.
So, okay. So we see here agoraphobia based on PTSD, and then we see, but here's the thing. Throughout the entire movie, I was trying to figure out, is this a case of agoraphobia, or is this necessary? Like, for me, this lady was just a peeping tom who preferred to stay in and watch out,
Sure.
as opposed to as opposed to you know I've got this problem. I'm like, I seriously have this crippling issue, you know.
Yes.
So let's talk about the story, right? You said at some point, because that woman never existed, and I'm confused, because was she there and was never there, or was she indeed there and got killed?
So in the book, and I believe in the movie, she actually did exist, and was murdered, and it was truly all a cover up on the part of her husband and everyone else to keep that from knowing. But our storyteller in the voice of Amy Adams she's not a particularly reliable narrator, because she has the blackouts and the medication and the pills and that kind of thing. So there's always the doubt in your mind, is this person really real or are they not really real? Because she's not sure herself. That's the way it's presented in the book.
Did you read the book?
I did read the book.
And how did you like the book?
I'm not going to say it was. I didn't feel like it had completely wasted my time, but at the same time, I felt like there was a lot of reused, rehashed stuff that I've read in other books that has probably been done a little better. And I also am not sure because I'm not sure how accurate the portrayal of agoraphobia is or was in the book or in the movie. I don't really, I don't know how empathetic, sympathetic, understanding it was. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. I've not particularly come personally. I've not come across a case of agoraphobia. Although, you know, lately it seems to me that people tend to refer to a lot of phobia as if it were something quirky and cute.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so you and I, we've worked in the world of diagnostic imaging, and a lot of people refer to themselves as, I'm hugely claustrophobic. I'm hugely claustrophobic. And sometimes it almost sounds like they're just trying to get a couple of pills, get high, and get in the machine, and not having to even think that they're, because, like, seriously, it's not that terrible. Like, if you are actually able to withstand an MRI, whether you're high or not, you're not necessarily claustrophobic. And it's also like the same thing with people who wash their hands, not necessarily more than everybody else, tend to just to sound quirky, like, oh yeah, I'm a germaphobe.
Yes.
Maybe you're an asshole. And, like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And the same issue I think with people with OCD is, I have to straighten pictures, so I'm OCD. And it's people who actually have OCD are like, no.
You straighten
that
pictures. You just being like, it's incredible. Like, for instance, I have a thing with timing, right? I have a thing with time. Like, I feel like my entire world is crashing down if I am late to something, if I start something late, or if I cause anybody's schedule to be thrown off. That drives me crazy. Is that some sort of obsessive compulsiveness? I don't know. It could just be that I'm an asshole with time. That it's as simple as that. And I think I'm from the Caribbean. We're never on time. You tell Haitians you're going to start a party at 6 p.m., they show up at 8, and if you're mad at them, they'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So really, I don't think it's something that I obsess with, except that I learned during my days working in resorts and planning and scheduling things for European guests that although these motherfuckers on vacation, they expect stuff to start on time. Mm-hmm. Like, if the buffet opens at 12:30, you open at 12:35, and you got a couple of Germans looking at giving you the side eyes. If you're having a bicycle tour or a snorkeling tour, or I don't know, a aerobic session that is starting at some point, it has to start on time. And as a person from the Caribbean, I used to ask myself, these people are on vacation. Why the hell are they worried about time? Like, it happens when it happens. And sadly, I started to realize, oh yeah, they're really serious about their time shit, because at the end of the week, when they have to fill out guest comments, they will basically ding you on everything because everything you did started late. And so I then somehow caught this bug of being obsessive with time. That doesn't make me an obsessive compulsive. And in the same vein, I'm almost finished. In the same vein, I think somebody who actually enjoys being a couch potato is not agoraphobic. So shut the fuck up.
Agreed.
Go on, Jojo.
No, I was just going to make a silly comment that said it kind of sounds like the German culture is catching.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Not so much OCD, just that the German culture is catching.
Yeah, there's a say that says when the band plays, the Germans march. You know, and so yeah, you get used to doing things a certain way, but that doesn't make you that it's not a phobe or it's not a phobia or is
Or a
neither
disorder
is
or
some
what-
kind of disorder.
Yeah.
So if you look in general, and this is a huge deviation from from what we're talking about, but if you look in general at the character that Amy Adams portrayed, is this somebody who is genuinely agoraphobic, or is this a deeply depressed, guilt-filled individual who is sort of punishing herself by staying in and unable, I believe, to commit suicide and rather slowly killing herself with pills and alcohol? I pose that question to you, Judge.
Yeah, that's the question I have myself because I don't know enough about agoraphobia to be able to speak to that with any sort of, even fake authority. So I don't know, and I would like to hear from someone who does suffer from the disease to say, this was completely wrong. This was very insensitive. This was an inaccurate portrayal. Um, I don't know if Agoria brought on by PTSD is its own sort of animal. Um, I don't know that it exists, and I'm not discounting that experience whatsoever. I'm just admitting to my ignorance. I have no idea if that is actually something that is in the diagnosis code book as something that can happen. So, as far as this being any rooted in any sort of reality as it actually being a real phobia, I really don't know. And there is so much stigma and so many issues with trying to get awareness to mental health. I would hate for a movie to be portraying and just propagating false things, which we get enough of. So I don't know. I'd like to hear from someone who suffers or has suffered from the disease, and if any of this is accurate at all.
Right. So let's talk about Amy Adams. To me, this is the second movie in a row that Amy Adams has gotten a strike with, and not necessarily because it's her fault. I have to say that. I know that you and I we weren't big fans of Hillbilly Elegy, and um, Amy Adams is a fantastic actress. We're happy to say that all the time. But I think that's the second character in a row that she's playing of somebody with some sort of mental health issue. And for some reason, there's a bit of a tone deafness in the sense that the portrayal comes about. And I'm not judging Amy Adams in that respect. But Tracy Lett, who is the guy who plays the psychiatrist that the character sees every week, he's the one who adapted the screenplay. But according to the reading I've done, there's not a huge difference between the book and the screenplay. So the portrayal that we see here, the story that is told, although in the voice of the main character of Dr. Fox, is that, in your view, the author's understanding, limited albeit, of what mental illness looks like?
From having read the book, it is certainly her character is certainly someone who is punishing herself for what happened, and is, as you said, slowly trying to commit suicide by pills and alcohol, and also with a great resistance to help. Takes her pills very, takes the medication very erratically, very in a way that will make you worse as opposed to better. And mixing it with a great deal of alcohol, which typically with antidepressants or any sort of medication like that, you've got your uppers and your downers, and mixing all of that is never a good thing, not in large quantities. And so she is certainly in the book a very self-destructive person, and as through the book she is the narrator, she's the one telling the story. There is the constant question in the book of, is she telling us the truth, or is this the pills or the wine or the is something else talking as opposed to an actual rational thought process. um I'm not really sure. I feel like the book maybe portrayed that a little, quote unquote, better, or maybe a little more sympathetically, in the sense of her being very self destructive. I didn't get as light of touch of that with the movie. Um, and again, nothing against Amy Adams or anything like that. I just feel like they were focusing so hard on the thriller aspect of this movie. I don't know that the mental health aspects became a priority for them at all.
But let me ask you this, though. Did they actually accomplish that? Because most of articles I've read about this movie is that everyone thought it was a trashy attempt at creating a thriller.
Yeah.
And so it was neither here nor there.
Yeah. It's good. They kind of like they sacrificed everything for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is huge, because the other thing is, this is to a certain extent a star-studded movie.
It very much is. It
I
very
mean,
much is.
people started popping up, and I'm like, "Whoa, hold
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
And then this is a perfect nothing burger, if you will, of a movie. Like I've never seen any. That's what I'm saying. Like, what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah.
Because I should not be able to predict the end of a movie after the first two scenes.
Yeah. Agreed.
Otherwise, what's the fucking point?
Agreed. And certainly, I mean, okay, if it's a documentary and you know what's going to happen, sure, okay, yes. But if it's supposed to be a quote unquote thriller, and it's supposed to keep us on the edge of our seats and guessing and all that silliness, then no, that's not what this. It didn't accomplish that, and I don't really feel like it accomplished anything, and was a total waste of the cast, as you said.
It was an absolute bloody waste. And as you said, Jojo, to your point, like, okay, if you write a movie about Abraham Lincoln, right? Spoiler alert, that nigga dies. You know what I'm saying? So this is not a secret, is it? But if you're writing a thriller, if this is sort of like a whodunit type of situation, then I should have more guesses. I should be trying to point my finger at far too many other people other than knowing from the beginning. And then I'm like, is this lady retarded? Like, she doesn't realize what's going on here? Like, come on. I'm sorry. You know, the only one who at the end of the day did not know what was going on was her. And she's a child psychologist.
Yes.
And the notion that she doesn't realize how deranged this little motherfucker was, it's just insane to me. And I don't know if that had something with the fact that she craved company so much that she overlooked certain clues. I don't know. Talk to me about that.
I think trying to search for much meaning in the movie is just going to cause more frustration, to be honest. I think that they just completely screwed this up. And I don't think that the book was some marvelous great tome to begin with. Okay, I'm not saying that it was Shakespeare or Dickens or Austen or anything even remotely good, but it was entertaining, and it did accomplish a sense of atmosphere and a sense of someone who was unhinged, and a sense of an unreliable narrative, which was interesting. I don't I would never rank it as one of the greatest books of all time. The movie could have been very good. They could have pulled some elements and changed some things and made a very good thriller, and they went in the opposite direction. So they took a sort of little better than mediocre book and turned it into a much less than mediocre movie.
So, book wise,
Mhm.
it seems like there's a market for this. But do you see, in your opinion, can you take this kind of book narrative and make it a a superb movie? Because it seems like it's been done before, right? Like those Dan Brown books, the whole Da Vinci series and shit.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're real crappy reads.
Yeah, they are.
you know.
Yes.
and like, look at the shades of gray,
50 Shades
whatever.
of Grey,
Do
yes.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's a market for the books, and the market
Yes.
certainly can be created for the movies, but
Yes.
it seems like when it comes to mystery thriller, there's something more to be said about that, isn't it?
Yes, and I think a really good example, of where it was done right is the movie Gone Girl. Because the book Gone Girl it's a good book. It's not my favorite book that I've ever read. It's a good book. It's all right. Um, and it is certainly a thriller. It is all those other
I'm
things.
sorry, isn't that also from by the same author? Is it?
No, different author.
No.
Different
Okay.
author. Yep, different author. This one was Gone Girl was written by Gillian Flynn. So now that I've said that, I'm double guessing myself. But anyway, the movie to me was so much better than the book. I enjoyed the book, like I said, but I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed Rosamund Pike's portrayal of the character. Ben Affleck was great as a loser asshole. Tyler Perry was great in it. Neil Patrick Harris was great in it. It was a perfect thriller, mystery slash horror adaptation of that kind of book. It took the book and elevated it. So I do believe it's possible. I just don't know. I just in this case, I feel like maybe that's what they were trying for. They were trying to do that and just missed the mark and failed.
But at the same time, I also think, and I blame Hollywood a bit for that. Not a bit, a lot for that. Is that there is this sense that Hollywood likes to recycle ideas, and sort of like blatantly, like with no effort at embellishing or making it any better. It's just a question of, well, it works, so let's keep piling onto it, right?
Yes.
Like the same criticism, for instance, is being received by this series on Amazon Prime called Them, I think, and it is sort of like an imitation of what's his name, Jordan Peele has started doing with, you know, African American horror and this kind of thing, and it does seem like a pylon in the sense that all it offers is brutality on black bodies or brutality against black bodies.
Okay.
That's all it shows, right? Like, yeah, we moved to a place that was super racist and shit. and they're trying to kill us and blah blah blah. You know, and that's it. But the only reason it's been done is because, a few hits by Jordan Peele have shown, this could be a subgenre or a genre in itself. But you have to know what you're doing. You have to try and go a bit deeper than that, as opposed to this works. I'm just going to make a bad copy of it.
Yeah.
And even in terms of the characters, for instance, like the kid, the boy, for me, all I kept seeing was really a younger Dexter. Like,
Yeah.
this kid, he probably has already started, killing cats and dogs and shit.
Yeah.
So, and then even the cadence, the delivery of his phrasing, a bit of his voice, the entire thing looks like this kid sat in a room for 16 hours and watched Michael C. Hall play Dexter and said, that's my character right. And maybe that's me, but seriously, that's the first thing I could think of.
And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that's not what he was directed to do. Something similar to that this is what we want. We don't want a nuanced character. People aren't going to understand that. We want baby Dexter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like this was a lazy attempt on Hollywood to remake, to capitalize on the success of movies like Gone Girl.
And another thing, so let's go ahead and start talking about the cast, because I have questions. So let's see. I'm going to share stream here. Shall we? I'm doing screen sharing, but I don't see my screen sharing, dude.
I don't see it either.
What happened there, Jojo?
I don't know, Graham.
Okay.
I broke it.
You done broke it.
I've done broke it.
Lord have mercy. Okay. Something happened to my screen sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what it is. I've been thinking about you. So let's talk about the cast, right? Mm-hmm. Amy Adams plays Dr. Anna Fox, and we've said that it's not an issue of Amy Adams.
No,
we've taken that out of the way. Julianne Moore. Why would you take this role if you're Julianne Moore? Like, Julianne Moore is so much more than that.
Yeah.
And Gary Oldman, let me ask you a question. It seems like every time that dude was on screen, all he did was scream. What is it? Like, was he channeling what's his name? Sam Jackson?
I really don't know.
He was just an angry dude. Like,
yeah,
what the hell is he so angry about?
Yeah.
I'm seriously, dude. Like, I don't know. Tell me about these characters, man. Well, what is this?
I don't know. I don't have.
So is that an accurate portrayal of Alistair Russell, whatever?
I think so. As much as he's seen in the book, as much as it's, it's. I mean, I kind of feel like everybody that was in this movie, it was a favor called in by somebody.
Yeah. You owe me one, man.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're gonna be, I could see being intrigued by the script before you read it too, but don't sign until you read the whole thing. I don't know.
Is that what you think happened here? That everybody was like, "Yo, this sounds good." Let me say yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost feel like that's what happened because you've got Amy Adams, you've got Gary Oldman, Julianne Moore, Jennifer Jason Lee, Brian Tyree Henry, Wyatt Russell. You've got a great cast here. I don't really, I don't know what happened. I really think they just signed on before they read the script, or they owed somebody a favor, or this was like, okay, to fulfill a contract, we have to do a movie for this studio. I have no idea, but yeah.
So it's needless to say that this was perhaps the greatest cast in the crappiest movie of 2021.
Yeah, I think so. At this point in time, yeah. Because I mean, like, mm, they could have done so much more with this. They could have made it.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
this: what the hell? Like, what was the point of Wyatt Russell's character? Like, what does he bring to the story? I guess, like, does he exist in the book?
Yes, he does exist in the book.
And is that pretty much all it is?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just some dude with a minor criminal past, and that's it.
Kind of like a red herring. So to kind of throw you off the scent and try to throw you off the scent and make you think, oh, it's this, or oh, it's that kind of
Oh
thing.
God!
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not high literature.
But like, that's my thing, is that at no point did it occur to me, maybe it's this dude.
Right.
That's what I can't understand.
In the book, I will say, in the book, you are kind of like, maybe he did it, because she is presented as such an unreliable storyteller. You can't honestly believe everything that she's telling you, because from the book, she's telling the whole story. You only hear from her. So there is the point of, well, if she's the one that's only telling it, and I know that she's taking her pills wrong and she's taking so much alcohol, and there does become an element of, well, maybe he isn't real, or maybe he actually did it, or those kinds of things. And I don't really feel like that came through in the movie, or I feel like it could have been amplified in the movie to make this much more interesting than the book was. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely on point, Jojo. Let me ask you another question, right? Because I'm for some reason, it sounds to me that you should have answers to these things. I don't know why. Maybe you should have never told me that you read the book. But did they really have to pay Anthony Mackie to just like record his voice on the phone and then make one appearance? Like, seriously, man, you somebody, like, I'm serious. Like, I love Mackie, man. Mackie's a huge star.
Mm-hmm.
Mackie is like,
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Mackie. I know the money is good and shit, but let some young brother make that money. Like, bring somebody off of Broadway and shit to have at least their name put on the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why you go, like, the cast was way too much for this movie. The cast was way too much. Who has that kind of money that's paying all of these people? Unless, really, as you said, unless they were like returning a favor.
That's I honestly think that's all it could possibly be, because I don't, there's so much talent in this movie for it to be as I feel like calling it bad is almost giving it too much of a title. You know what I mean? Like it's giving it too much credit. Be like, oh, you made a bad movie. At the end of the day, you can be like, oh, I made a bad movie, and it was, people hated it or whatever. But this is just kind of like, you made a movie. It was a movie.
Yeah. Is that something like The Disaster Artist or something?
Yeah.
Do you think there's gonna come a time in the next maybe 20 years, 25 years, you'll ask Amy Adams, what was your worst project that you wish you had never approached? And she'd be like, hillbilly elegy. Or it's a toss-up.
She'd be like, well, I had a couple bad years there, so I wasn't really paying attention to what I was signing, and yeah, I learned a lesson.
Yeah. So do you think Tracy Letts is going to ever be considered, at least for this movie, as a leading screenplay adapter? I mean, he plays a hell of a psychiatrist, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's it.
Yeah. I don't. I'm afraid not.
Look, is there something good to say about this at all?
If you want to throw something on and not pay a huge amount of attention to it and still be confused by the end of it, it'll be fine.
Still be confused by the end of it. Oh, that's funny. If you still want to be confused by the end of it, that pretty much summarizes the whole thing, ladies and gentlemen. On the other hand, Jojo, let's before we end in moving on to something else. I think there's been I've watched a couple of good things, and I don't know if we will be ready to talk about it by next week, but I hugely encourage you and our audience to watch Solos on Prime Video.
Okay.
Solos is an absolute work of art, and I am so proud of Prime Video for doing this. But I think for actors who are not trying to show that they're good, actors who are proven to be great actors, but have nothing else to prove, but really want to do something extraordinary so people have no fucking doubt whatsoever that they're great. And that's what I see here in Solos. I'm talking about Anthony Mackie. I'm talking about Helen Mirren, Constance Wu, and what's the name of that little girl from she was on Modern Love, and she hosted the Oscars with James Franco, and
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway is absolutely fantastic. Morgan Freeman is of course, I'm pretty sure this nigga somehow is God among us, and nobody's just has figured out. Like, hey, I play God from time to time and shit, but nobody really knows that I'm God.
I play God just to, kind of like give somebody a tip. Be like, I'm hoping somebody's going to actually catch on to me, but, they haven't so far, so it's fine.
I'm cool undercover and shit. Yeah, those performances, but let me tell you something. Uzo Aduba, and this is probably the third week in a row that I'm talking about Uzo Aduba, because the week before, a few weeks before, when I talked about In Treatment, I sang the praises of Uzo Aduba. And whenever I talk about Orange is the New Black, I sing the praises of Uzo Aduba. But you got to watch this performance. Everyone, please watch Solos. I realize that it might end up not being everybody's cup of tea, right? Because it's sort of like a play that is not on the stage, right? And it's pretty much monologue, even when you see one or two or three people on stage, on scene. But it is a monologue, because the reason it's called Solos is because these people are playing different versions of themselves. So that's the beauty of it. Anthony Mackie talking to Anthony Mackie and having an argument with Anthony Mackie. And Hathaway talking to Anne Hathaway and having an argument with Anne Hathaway. It is an absolutely beautiful thing. But please watch Solos because you will not regret it. Even if you go in it with a certain amount of doubt, stay, watch it. Please watch it because it's probably the best thing you will watch this year on any streaming platform. And Jojo, I'm gonna throw a bit of a ball on your court.
Mhm.
I would like if you would do that with me. I would like after you watch this, if we could host a room on Clubhouse talking about Solos because
Yeah.
that's how fascinated I am by it.
Yeah.
And I think it makes for an absolutely fantastic conversation. Each episode is about 32 minutes. And there are like 5 or 6 episodes. And they go like this, right? So you've heard it here, folks.
You've heard it here first.
Solos is absolutely fantastic, as opposed to if you want to watch The Woman in the Window, watch at your own peril. That's all we're saying.
Yes.
Right, Jojo?
And if you want to watch, if you're interested in watching a movie about somebody who's housebound and spying on their neighbors, and you want it to be a good thriller, watch Rear Window.
Rear Window. You know, you can't. People with English as a second language can't. We don't be saying that too well. It's like the
I don't
rural
think
juror.
I said it very well in English in my first language. So
That's like the rural. You remember the rural juror?
Oh boy.
The rural juror. Rear Window. Do you know
Rear
this?
Window.
One of this. There's a street here in Charlotte that I've never been able to say correctly. It's called Arrowwood Road.
Okay.
And I can't say like if I'm living, I have to pause to say Arrowwood.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, dude. Like I can't.
It's too many
There's a little
decimals.
row. If it was then maybe, you know, if it was maybe, but nah, not my thing.
Oh, it makes me think of Scooby-Doo. So
Well, you have been fantastic as usual, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to just leave it here. We want to, as of course, invite you to follow us on social media. You'll find us on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Pinterest, and of course on the Facebook. We are also on Clubhouse, and we are in the phase of planning how we are going to integrate and utilize Clubhouse in the podcast and with our podcast. Part of the good news that we have to share is that as of this past week, we have a brand new spanking looking website. Kicking and Streaming Podcast had a facelift.
it's slick.
And my goodness, I love it. I love it. And you will find that things are much better organized. We have an entire archive there that you can go through. Each episode has its own page, which is one of the most beautiful things. So all of 113 episodes we've done, you can go through, listen to them. That, as I said, if you go to the episodes page, once you click on the episode, it will bring you directly to the episode. So if you are sharing that episode also, you will be sharing exactly that episode. So that is a beautiful thing. Also, we want you to subscribe to our mailing list. We would like to start a monthly newsletter that Jojo is going to start doing. You know what I mean? And so if you want to join Jojo's newsletter, please go to our website, kickingandstreamingpodcast.com, and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions, if you have any review of our podcast, and I know that every week we ask you to, do it on your podcast page, whichever you listen on your podcast app, preferably Apple Podcasts. But also now we have the ability to receive voice mails. So if you go to our website, on the lower right hand side, there's a little microphone. If you hit on that microphone and you want to say something, please say it. It will come to us as a voicemail. And if you tell us, with your permission, you would like us to just play whatever you have to say on the next episode, we will do that too. Of course, as long as it's not, calling for our death and shit.
Or or any other inappropriate and interesting noises.
Right. So again, I am on Clubhouse. Jojo is on Clubhouse. You can find us. And like I said, we will be doing some nice stuff in there.
Yeah.
Hopefully very soon we'll create a kicking and streaming room for people to follow. And you will find me as Mr. Puzzetta. That's MrPuzzetta. Jojo, are you back yet? Jojo?
I'm not back yet.
No, Jojo ain't back yet.
I ain't back yet.
So for now, we are going to say goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for watching on YouTube and on Twitch. Thank you for listening today.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to Kickin' and Streamin' Podcast. If you found value in our content, please subscribe and share. We would also be delighted to hear what you think of this podcast. So please rate us by writing a quick review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all major social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Join the conversation happening today on our Facebook group.